Hey guys, welcome back to the Curly Reader. My name's Amanda, and today I want to share with you my growing TBR, all of the books that I added to my Goodreads TBR in the month of June. All right, so I have 7 books to share with you today that I added to my TBR in June. Like I said, these are books that I add to my Goodreads TBR, not books that I add to my shelves. That's what I share in my book hauls. But yeah, and just kind of where I heard about the books from, that sort of thing, that's what I'm going to share with you today. All right, so the first book that I thought I would share with you today is A Terrible Tide by Susan Mead. You'll have to excuse me for looking down. I have my information down here about the book. This is a book that I heard about from Krista at Books and Jams. She did her most anticipated releases for the third quarter of the year, and this is one of them. So this comes out in September, but it is a middle grade historical fiction that is set in Newfoundland in 1929. So it says, in her small village in Newfoundland, Celia is setting the table for her 13th birthday celebration when the house starts to shake. It's an earthquake rumbling under the Atlantic Ocean. A few hours later, the sea water disappears from the harbor, only to rush back in a wave almost 30 feet high, destroying nearly everything in its path. Buildings, boats, and winter supplies of fish and food are washed away, and Celia and her community are devastated. With their only phone line cut off and no safe route to get help, they are isolated and facing a long, cold, hungry winter. So it's based off of a true story of an earthquake that shook Newfoundland's Burin Peninsula, and it tells the tale of this forgotten disaster from the point of view of a young girl whose life is turned upside down. So that to me sounded amazing. A number of these I found out about when I was doing my research for my new releases that are coming out, my anticipated releases. I found a lot of books that are coming out in paperback that had already previously come out that I was like, whoa, these sound so good. The first of which is Ikenga. This is by Nadi Okorafor. Ooh. Anyway, it says Ndami Amdi. I pronounced that way wrong. Anyway, his father is a good chief of police, perhaps the best Kalaria has ever had. He was determined to root out the criminals that had invaded the town, but then he was murdered, and most people believe the chief of chiefs, most powerful of the criminals, was responsible. Namdi has vowed to avenge his father, but he wonders what a 12-year-old boy can do until a mysterious nighttime meeting. The gift of a magical object that enables superpowers and a charge to use those powers for good changes his life forever. How can he fulfill his mission? How will he learn to control his newfound powers? So that one looked really good, and I know that one has a lot of awards as well. Another one that I thought sounded really good is The Time of Green Magic by Hilary McKay. It says, when Abdi's father marries Max and Louise's mom, their families start over together. Abby suddenly finds herself the middle child, expected to share far too much, especially with grubby little Louis. Then they move into an eerie, ivy-covered house, big enough for all of them. But for the children, strange things start to happen in that house. Abby reads alone and finds herself tumbling so deep into books they almost seem real. Louis summons comfort from outdoors, and a startling guest arrives. Is it a cat or something else? Max loses his best friend and falls in love. Meanwhile, Louis's secret visitor is becoming much too real. Now Abby, Max, and Louis must uncover the secrets of their new home, for there can be danger in even the most beautiful magic. That one sounded really good, and it's about blended families and just all the good things in middle grade. All right, so sorry, I'm like looking down in every direction. I have my list here. I have my information with the summaries over here. So I know my eyes are kind of everywhere right now. All right, so the next one that I have on my list is Orphan 11. This is by Jennifer Holdenko. I think, is it Choldenko? I think it's Holdenko. Okay, anyway. 4 orphans have escaped from the home for the 4 friendless children. One is Lucy, who used to talk and sing. No one knows why she doesn't speak anymore. Silence is her protection. The orphans find work and new friends in a traveling circus. Lucy loves caring for the elephants, but she must be able to speak to them and to warn others of danger. If Lucy doesn't find her voice, she'll be left behind when the circus... That was a fly. I apologize for that. That was obnoxious. All right, so basically she wants to work with the elephants, but she's gonna have to learn how to find her voice. It has to do with selective mutism. So there was that one. All right, and then let's see, what's the next one? Oh, Kristen Levine has another book that has come out. It came out in June, and I didn't get to add it to my most anticipated releases for the second quarter, so I just added it to my list now. Kristen Levine wrote The Lions of Little Rock, which I read last year and really enjoyed, but this is a new middle grade that is set, it's set in Vienna during the Bosnian genocide. And it says most 12-year-olds would be excited to fly to Austria to see their dad for the summer, but then Becca is not most 12-year-olds. Suffering from severe anxiety, she fears the metal detectors at the airport will give her cancer and the long international flight will leave her with blood clots. Luckily, she packed her doomsday journal, the one thing that always seems to help. By writing down her fears and what to do if the worst happens, Becca can get by without many panic attacks. Routines and plans help Becca cope, but living in a new country is full of the unexpected, including Becca's companions for the summer, like Felix, the short and bookish son of Becca's dad's new girlfriend, or Sarah, the 19-year-old Bosnian refugee tasked with watching the two of them for the summer. As Becca explores Vienna and becomes close to her new friends, she soon learns that she is not alone in her fears. What matters most is what you do when faced with them. So that sounded really interesting. I know the Bosnian genocide was something that happened when I was younger, and so anyway, that one just kind of sounded really good to me. All right, let's see here. The next one that I have here is Wendy Darling by A.C. Wise. I saw this on Colby Sharp's channel. I don't know if it was during a book haul or what, but I know he had talked about it, and then I saw it a couple other places too. But it is a feminist reimagining of what happened to Wendy after Neverland. It says, for fans of Circe and the Mere Wife. It says, for those that lived there, Neverland was a children's paradise. No rules, no adults, only endless adventure and enchanted forests, all led by the charismatic boy who would never grow old. But Wendy Darling grew up. She left Neverland and became a woman, a mother, a patient, and a survivor. Because Neverland isn't as perfect as she remembers. There's darkness at the heart of the island, and now Peter Pan has returned to claim a new Wendy for his lost boys. I know that this one, another thing that has been said about this one is that it has better representation of Native culture. And so we all know that the original Peter Pan does not. And so I know that was something that kind of struck my interest with this one as well, is just kind of how the reimagined Peter Pan, how this is going to go. All right. And then the last book that I have on this list is The Way Back by Jamie Feury. I don't know if I said that right or not. This is another one that kind of came up when I was looking at anticipated releases, but it came out in April. And so actually April of 2020. So I think it was coming out in paperback now, and so it just kind of came up. But it's adult, and it has to do with three siblings, Jessica, Kirsty, and Patrick, and they are estranged. They haven't spoken to each other for 3 years. An argument after their mother's death was the latest excuse to blame one another for their family's troubles in a long, unhappy series that's lasted almost a decade. When their father, Jerry, dies, they are given instructions as to where he wants his ashes to be scattered, but first they must drive together in his old camper van up the country to the Scottish Isle of Islay. For the journey, he's given them his old fishing tackle box containing 3 photo albums through which they can explore their past, and a bottle of single malt whiskey, which he had been saving for the 70th birthday he never reached. Along the way, they'll be forced to confront the most painful moments in their shared history, lay to rest a ghost who's haunted them for years, and maybe even become a family again. And so that one sounded really good too. Just siblings and kind of that journey back to each other, a camper van road trip up the Scottish coast. Sounded amazing. So yeah, those are the 7 books. Yeah, I think I got them all. that I added to my Goodreads TBR in June. If you've heard of any of these, if you have read any of these, I would love to hear your comments about them down below. If any of these have now struck your fancy, let me know that as well. What are some good books that you have recently added to your TBR? I would love to hear that. And other than that, I hope that you enjoyed this, and I hope that you stick around and subscribe. And until next time.